What's up, everybody? Welcome back to College Game Day, week 4 this week. Let's get right Welcome back, everybody, to College Game Day. If you notice something a little different, we got mini helmets this week. Little UNC, little Georgia Tech. Switching it up this week from the big giant helmets, and we are coming off of a 15-1 record last week. I went 15-1, and the only game that I messed up was the last game of the night, UCLA and Fresno State. Still can't believe it. We were this close to having an undefeated week for the first time. So now let's get right into the matchup. Sorry, it's off topic. First matchup, Georgia and Vanderbilt. Georgia, number 2 ranked team in the country. I think they should be number 1. Vanderbilt, 1 and 2. UGA is favored by 35 points. UGA wins. Next matchup, Villanova and Penn State. Now both teams are undefeated, but Penn State's top 10. Penn State favored by 29 points. Big win last week against Auburn in Happy Valley. So Penn State wins this one. Next matchup, Notre Dame and Wisconsin. This is going to be an amazing matchup, I can tell. Now, Wisconsin is favored by almost 7 points, even though they're the lower-ranked team. I got to go with Notre Dame. Notre Dame, it's in Chicago. It's at Soldier Field. I think that is awesome. I can't wait to watch that game. Notre Dame wins. Next matchup, UMass and Coastal Carolina. UMass, they're 0-3. Coastal Carolina's 3-0. Coastal Carolina wins. Next matchup, Colorado State and Iowa. Iowa, they didn't play how I thought they were going to play last week against Kent State. I feel like they could have played much better. But I think they're going to bounce back this week and beat Colorado State. Next matchup, Texas A&M and Arkansas. Great matchup. Arkansas, number 16 team in the country. Texas A&M is number 7. So this one has been very hard to choose because it's at Arkansas. I think I'm going to go with Arkansas on this one over Texas A&M. They have home field advantage. They're number 16 in the country. Arkansas wins. This one is also another matchup that I'm having trouble with. It's Clemson and NC State. Now it's in Raleigh at Carter Finley, but Clemson is they're Clemson. It's hard to pick against them, but this year they're not doing as good. But we don't pick State, so I had to go with Clemson. And I'm not really mad about that. They're top 10. They're favored by 10 points. Clemson wins. Next matchup, Iowa State and Baylor. Iowa State, number 14 team in the country. Favored by 7 points, Iowa State wins. Even though it's at Baylor. And Baylor, they get rowdy. Next matchup, Rutgers and Michigan. It's in Ann Arbor at the Big House. That's one of the hardest places to play. Michigan wins. Next up, Georgia State and Auburn. Auburn coming off that tough loss last week against Penn State. But they still win this week. Georgia State, 1-2. Auburn favored by 27. Auburn wins. Next matchup, UCLA and Stanford. UCLA, they broke my heart last week. I could have had an undefeated record, but they're going to win this week. Number 24 in the country. Although they're only favored by 4 points. I still got UCLA in this one. Hopefully they pull it out. Next matchup, Tennessee and Florida. I really wanted Florida to win last week, even though it would have broke my record. I still wanted the upset. But this week they play Tennessee at the Swamp. Florida wins. Next matchup, Nebraska and Michigan State. Michigan State, number 20 team in the country. They're 3-0. Michigan State wins. Next matchup, Kansas State and Oklahoma State. Kansas State, number 25 team in the country. Although, I'm going to have to go with Oklahoma State on this one. They're 3-0. It's at home. Oklahoma State wins. Southern Miss and Alabama. Alabama, #1 team in the country. Favored by 45 points. Alabama wins. Next matchup, West Virginia and Oklahoma. Now, West Virginia coming off that big win last week against Virginia Tech. Now, if it was at West Virginia, I'm going to be honest, I would deal with West Virginia. But because it's at Oklahoma, I got to go with Oklahoma. Home field advantage is a huge thing. Next matchup, Akron and Ohio State. Akron, they're 1-2. Ohio State has not been playing very good this year. Now, I mean, they cut it close last week against Tulsa. They still win this one, although I don't think it's going to be that bad of a blowout. Next matchup, South Florida and BYU. BYU, #15 team in the country. They're still undefeated. BYU wins. Next matchup, Oregon and Arizona. Oregon caught me off guard this past year. They're #3 team in the country. They beat Ohio State. They cut it close in that first week against Fresno State, but they've been up since then. So Oregon wins. And our final matchup of the day, North Carolina, Georgia Tech, in Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Mercedes-Benz Superdome. UNC favored by 14 points. Georgia did almost upset Clemson last week, and I have to give them props for that. But, not trying to be biased or anything, but Sam Howell has been absolutely incredible these past few weeks. I think North Carolina blows them out in Mercedes-Benz Superdome. I think that Mercedes-Benz Superdome is actually going to be pretty quiet tonight. I really don't think there's going to be that many people that show up. North Carolina wins. All right, thank you guys for joining in this week.